I challenged Representative Jamal Bowman for his seat. And then when County Executive George Latimer came in the race, I moved to the Bronx and then to Queens so I could challenge AOC. I got crushed. She spent $8 million in the poorest district in New York, which is disgraceful. And I have stood for being a centrist Democrat and against everything that the Democrat Socialists of America stand for. My interpretation of the election is that it's the death of socialism in New York and not a moment too soon. We have 2 dead people recently in the city. Jordan Neely, Brian Thompson. Their deaths are not equal. There's nothing equivalent about them. We're talking about death. And as an older person, I go back to my experiences in 1968. And if I was Marty McFly, I could go back in my time machine to 1968. I would tell everybody back then, everybody should just cool off a little bit. All right? We ran into real problems when people started throwing stones at each other. And that's a message that's good for the Democrats, the socialists, the right-wing Republicans, the central Republicans, everybody. We have to commit against violence. And it's not enough to talk about how people feel. We have to push our representatives to come out and say, violence is not the answer. It is not enough to be passive-aggressive and say, well, we understand how people feel. And people have a right to be angry about whatever, but that's not the American way. We have to ask our representatives to come out. I expect everybody here to say, we are against violence. Okay, so what am I for? I worked all over the world over 40 years, and I want to bring the best ideas from all over the world to New York. And in particular, we have one challenge as a society. And we're coming up to a religious time. I come from a religious family. I'm not here to talk about religion. But we know we're here to make life better for our kids. And we have technology that's coming in, and it's hunting for jobs.
Can you wrap it up, please?
I'll wrap it up. We need to make things better for our kids. We need to fix the education system and prepare them for a tougher life because technology is not going to make it easier for them. Thank you for your
Say your name again.
Marty Dolan.
Are you related to James Dolan?
We're all brothers and sisters.
Thank you so much, Marty.
My pleasure. Who gets the microphone?
Give it to Colin. All right, candidates, we have house rules here. There's so many of you, and thank you for coming tonight. No, you're fine, you're fine. Okay, before you start, Colin, I'm going to say this right now. You have 2.5 minutes. You go over your 2.5 minutes, when I tell you to wrap it up, you're going to say your last sentence. Please, we want to keep our audience engaged, and we don't want to hear you mindlessly ramble all night. So 2.5 minutes for all of you. All right, Colin, take it away.
I'm going to try not to use the microphone. As he said, my name is Colin, and I know not a single one of you in this room knows who I am. But I am going to be spending the next year working hard to earn your vote to be our next leader. I have spent my last 10 years in public education as a teacher in the Bronx, teaching history, and then an instructional leader, and eventually a principal. And my partner is a nurse at Bellevue, our city's flagship public hospital. And for years in the classroom, I spent telling my students that the way to make positive change was to engage in the system, right? I believe that democracy is the best form of government, but it requires participation. It requires people with good ideas coming together and finding solutions that benefit all of us. And so I finally started to practice what I've been preaching to my students for so long, and and now taking on the task of running to be our mayor. I am technically a registered Democrat currently, but I feel very comfortable here tonight because I was a very weird kid who really enjoyed politics. So while all of my friends in middle school were playing baseball, I was the chairman of the Young Republicans back home in Tennessee, and spent several years working for the Tennessee Republican Party. And for the last 8 years, I've been here in New York City and have seen how poorly managed the Democratic Party has taken our city for the last 8 years. And so we are launching our campaign in January, focused on what we're calling the Solid Six: schools, subways, safety, sanitation, shelter, and small businesses. And we will be unveiling policies that really address issues that all of us face, right? I don't think the answers will be found in necessarily one political party. I've never been asked what political affiliation I have when I step on the subway, when our kids register to our public schools. We don't know what affiliation for that family is either. And so I am going to be spending the next year working across the aisle with Republicans, coming to groups like this, and Democrats finding common sense solutions for all of us. Because the problems we face are not just challenges for one political party. So thank you so much for having me.
Are you running a Republican ticket or a Democrat ticket?
I'm running as an independent.
Thank you, Colin. Thank you for keeping under 2.5 minutes.
Thank you.
All right, Theo, are you next? So you want to pass it to Theo?
All right, I'm going to suggest everyone to use the microphone. I'll tell you why. Because if you're just speaking to them, they'll hear you. But this is being put on YouTube, so if you want to be heard with clarity and you want people to understand what you're saying, use the mic, okay? It picks up much better.
Thank you, Juan. Do what you're comfortable with. All right, Fatima, take it away.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Fatima Zoranimino. I'm a New Yorker for almost 25 years. I'm a former employee of the United Nations for 2 decades. And by race, I'm Andalusian American. My reason for running for office is that as an immigrant, when I first came to New York about 25 years ago, everybody comes for an American dream. However, I didn't get to work with the public sector. I immediately joined the United Nations. So my life has been quite different than you, is that I was only sharing the subway and the supermarkets with New Yorkers. However, I was only working for the UN and traveling all over the world. I didn't know how the government of New York was functioning. Neither did I know how the government of the United States was functioning. So then I had to become a permanent resident. I got married with my husband, who is a born United States citizen, and I became a United States citizen. After that, living in New York for about 2 decades, you all know that we have United Nations, so the whole world comes here. In my mind was that United States has the best, no corruption, especially the word corruption doesn't exist here. That you can say I'm naive, but this is exactly, and this is my view, the view of everybody who comes to New York. Sadly, I am now a New Yorker. I have been a New Yorker for years by now. I'm a citizen. My intention is to eradicate corruption and also to have the New York that everybody knows about. So the best of everything in terms of human rights. Everybody comes here. I'm talking about when we have United Nations conferences, when we have lots of international meetings. Here in New York right now, we have homelessness. That's actually a violation of human rights. We have no system. I have touched every single institution in New York City government. The federal government says we don't call it government, we call it New York City agencies. However, whatever we can call them, nothing is functioning. So my intention is to have a clean city, a safe city, a modern city, as everybody knows. Right now, what we come for here doesn't exist. Neither democracy nor justice.
Right.
So if you go to the
Right.
justice system, let me just can
You
I
have to
just
wrap
finish
it
this
up.
one? Yes, I'm sorry. So we have to reform the justice system to have no homelessness, because every single human being deserves the roof. And having people sleeping in the streets, it's a violation of human rights. We start from that. And then we don't have to struggle for our basic human rights. We don't have to struggle. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Next, I am going to introduce Ismael Malavre. Is that correct?
Thank you so much for having me. First of all, I want to thank everyone for being here. It's all about living in a democracy, like the young lady was saying, right? Exercising your constitutional right to vote. I am someone that, although I am a Democrat, I wanted to come by and pay my respects to you all, because every New Yorker counts. I'm a candidate running for New York City Comptroller. I work for 5 Comptrollers: Carl McCall, Alan Hevesy, Tom DiNapoli, Bill Thompson, and John Liu. That's 5 years, 5 Comptrollers, 16 years under my belt in that office, 27 years as a public servant, and I will fight for you all just as much as I fight for my own family or any party. It's all about, the Comptroller's office is all about taking the politics of that office. It's all about economic transparency, eliminating waste, fraud, and corruption, auditing agencies, making sure that we know where taxpayers' dollars are being spent, and at the end of the day, making sure that our pensions are solvent. So I stand before you today as a homegrown New Yorker, somebody that understands how that office works, and I want to take the politics out of everything involved when it comes to our taxpayer dollars, our money. It's got to be black and white, right? It's got to make a difference. We got to know where our money is being spent, how it's being spent, and if whether or not it's unjust. And if it's unjust, we got to get rid of it. So I am that guy that's going to clean up the house when it comes to making sure that when we identify some sort of corruption, I'm going to execute the power of the subpoena to make sure that we know that we eliminate the waste or the fraud. My name is Ismael Malavi, and I'm running for New York City Comptroller. Please follow my campaign. And I thank you for having me here today. I'm somebody that at the end of the day will do what it takes to make sure that I bat for you, everyday New Yorkers, people that understand what it means to take the train, people that understand what it means to stretch the dollar, people that understand what it means to own your own business, people that understand what it means to own a piece of property, and understands the importance of neighborhood and community and trust. I want to bring common sense back into government for the greater good. Somebody who's been a lifelong public servant. Please trust in my campaign. Although I am not a Republican, I'm asking you to consider supporting me in one way or another, and thank you for having me here today. Thank you.
Are you running as a Democrat, Republican, or independent?
Say that again?
Are you running as a Democrat, Republican, or independent?
I am running as a Democrat, a moderate, in the middle, common sense. I'm not a progressive. I'm someone who has friends on both sides of the aisle.
Okay, thank you.
Up next is Theo Chino.
Hi, my name is Theo Chino. I'm running for public advocate, and I met Danny 8 years ago at the Board of Election when I was student, and he taught me a lot. I am here today because I was hoping to see my fellow Democrat public advocate candidate, but he ran away, so that's the second time he does that. And I came here to give you your dinos and me to take my rhinos away. And when I hear Democrat coming in the Republican room asking for your support, I have a problem, because that means you are listening to them, but you are not playing the field. Because these people want your support, your money, but they don't want your vote. They don't care. You cannot vote. This is a Democrat. So what I'm here for is to get back the people who should be in the Republican Party and switch their party, be proud to be Republican, and all those Republicans in the Republican state that are Democrat, I'll take them over, bring them back to me. So I am here just to send that message. I'll make it short, because you all, I run the website, Rep My Blog, so I want everybody to run for county committee. We need thousands and thousands of you to run on the Republican County Committee and challenge the bosses the same way we're doing on the Democratic Party. And just for one issue for my campaign, I would like to see the United Nations move from Midtown Manhattan to somewhere in the outer borough, so we can get them the security they need, and we New Yorkers can continue to live during United Nations Week. So that will bring tourism to the Queens, most likely Queens, and that was my idea.
Let's move into France.
No, well,
Can we get the United Nations to pay for their own security and to pay their part tickets to show respect to the taxpayers of the city of New York? To the United Nations, put them on North Brother Island, put them on Rikers.
let's work on something like that, and I'm all for it.
Thank you, Tio Chino. All right, next is Angela Aquino.
Should I stay here or what do you guys want?
Whichever you want, whichever you
Okay, I'm
want.
gonna go there because I want to see everybody up.
Nice hat.
Thank you.
Time starts when you start speaking.
Okay. Hi, good evening, everybody. My name is Angela Aquino. I'm under the Conservative Party and hoping and I'm praying to get the endorsement of the Republican Party as well. I'm running as your public advocate, and I know everybody is excited because we want to get rid of Jumaane Williams. He has caused so much trouble for everybody here, for all of us New Yorkers, giving away New York City to people who don't deserve it. Giving away our assets, giving away our provisions, giving away our money, giving away our hotels, our shelters to people, to anybody who's not American citizen. And I'm done because I volunteered there and I saw how they gave away everything. And not for American citizens, not to his fellow black people, not to his single mothers, but anybody that did not vote him. So no more for Jumaane Williams, and we need to get to work together, whether Democrats, whether Republicans and conservatives, because anybody who is allowed to vote has paid taxes, and those taxes need to go to where they belong, to the pockets of New York City people. So that's one. That's why I'm running. And number two, when it comes to values, I'm here to bring back the value of fatherhood in the city. So many years, the Democrats have advocated for feminism. I am a product of that. Feminism, thinking that as a woman I can do it all on my own, I can raise a child on my own, I can do it on my own. Well, you know what? Tough luck. It's not easy to raise a child on your own. Okay, so, and a lot of single mothers have suffered, a lot of single mothers have suffered at the Bronx. Right now in Manhattan, there's over 60%. Guess what? When there's no father in the household, poverty is going to follow. If there's poverty, more chances are there's no equal opportunity, and the status of your child will remain low. This is not the kind of future we want to build. We want to keep the kids out of the gangs. Right now, huge problem at the Bronx. 15 years old have guns and have in their backpacks. They're being taken away. Gang people are using them. Why? Let's just be straight up because we have to acknowledge this problem. There's no father in the household.
All right, let's wrap it up now.
So I'm here to promote that values and to bring the unity back and the values of the family. And I hope to get the Republican endorsement for that.
Thank you so much, Angela. Do you want to pass it to John, or do you want to speak next? All right, John, you're next. 2.5 minutes. Whenever you start, I start the timer.
You start.
And can you just say your name for us?
Well, my name is John H. Angley, and I'm running for mayor of New York City. I hope you New Yorkers morning and afternoon went well. Good evening, my name is Gene H. Angley, and I want to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that I threw my hat in the 2025 mayor election race. And I am most delighted to tell you I am running for New York City mayor, and as mayor candidate, I will ensure you I will be New York's next mayor this coming 2025 mayor election. And with that being said, I will be the voice of you. With my emotional intelligence skills, my morality, my integrity, my ethics, I will be the best decision, the right choice. New York City has been social loafing, and I will put an end to that. Under my administration, I will implement CSR, corporate social responsibilities, and make sure all my decisions and actions benefit society at large. I will boost productivity in the New York City Police Department, Department of Education, Sanitation, Transportation, etc., Social Economy, Department of Motor Vehicles. I will implement a strategy to lower the cost of living, fuel, light bill, / gas bill, / rent. Machiavellism is a manipulative trait people use sometimes to manipulate others for their own personal gains. The New York City Mayor's duties is to enhance the quality of life of New York City New Yorkers. And that's what I would like to do. When I become mayor of New York, I will enhance people's life. I will enhance the quality of their life and make them feel good, and make them live good. And I don't want them to feel like they fighting to make ends meet. And that's what I would do when I become mayor of New York City. I'll make sure they know what to do and give them choices. And with choices, there won't be no gangs. If you give them a right choice what to do and make sure they living good and give them an opportunity, which New York is a land of opportunity. New York is the richest state in America. And by the time we open up our eyes, it'll be the brokest state. Because we losing our tax-paying citizens to different states such as Florida, South Dakota, North Carolina, Pennsylvania. And without tax-paying citizens in New York State, New York City won't be functional. And that's what I'd like to do. I'll bring New York City back to functionality.
Thank you.
You have to wrap it up.
What I want to say is reform, reconstruct, and rebuild. Engley for mayor, that's the right choice. When it's time for election, think of me, Gene H. Engley. You won't regret it. I'm trustworthy and I'm reliable. And I promise you, when it's time for mayor, when I'm sitting in the office, every choice I do will benefit you guys. Have a nice day. God bless.
Are you running as a Republican?
It doesn't matter. What I'm running for is the right choices and concerns of you guys.
What party are you running as? Independent, Republican?
Independent.
Independent.
All right, so next is Von Del Val. I hope I pronounced it right.
Okay, guys. I didn't expect to go so long, but you know what? All right, listen.
Let me talk into this real quick.
And let me just be quick, because I know the time. You started the clock? Okay.
Clock is on now.
Clock is on,
Let's go.
clock is on.
Swimming in a flood. Does anyone feel like they're swimming in a flood, watching the world suffer, watching our government make bad decision after bad decision? Well, that's how I feel about the Biden administration, who time and time again ignored the American people during a pandemic that not only decimated our country, but worldwide, letting just anyone into our country. America, I got bad news. They are here, they are amongst us. And who you may ask, I ain't talking about no one looking for a better job. I'm not talking about the economic migrants. Listen, I know we are a nation of immigrants, but the times are different. Today we have a people who hate this country and hate this city. New York City is the city that represents America, people of all kinds working to make this country better. New York, we got a mayor who swings each and every way. What do you think Mayor Adams would have done if Kamala would have won? Do you think he will still have the same stance on illegal immigration? Ask yourself, New York, aren't you tired of politicians who are elected and only betray the people who put them in office? Cutting our heroes 5% from NYPD, FDNY, hospitals, and the New Yorkers. He said he didn't want to go to jail denying the migrants. He didn't want to break the law. Well, New York City, if it was me, I would have went to jail. I would have broke the law because of common sense is common sense. We need a mayor who will stand up for the New Yorkers, especially our hardworking middle-class New Yorkers. You know, the ones who build our buildings, teach our kids, and God forbid you got COVID, our health professionals. I'm not a professional politician, you're right. I'm not perfect, I've made mistakes, but never did I make a mistake where the security and well-being of my city was at risk. New York, you can have sympathy for the devil all you want, but like I said before, as a city council committee on higher education oversight here in Cooney's response, never assume or jump to conclusion when adversity strikes. Use intelligence, science, and innovation. And if you have none of those, then use common sense. Don't believe everything you hear. You got a brain, use it, and don't become a victim of propaganda. In New York, let me tell you, the propaganda is that he is innocent. You see the news and you see his change. Common sense will tell you if he's innocent, his constituents would have never abandoned ship. Now his best friend's done left too. Well, it's time to use common sense and ask yourself, if your friend was innocent, would you abandon them? I wouldn't, especially when we are running the best city in history of humanity. Those are who have resigned are not the ones who are guilty, but the ones who have sounded the alarm. There are the real New Yorkers in the corner of the room saying, gigs up, let's fall back. New York, let me tell you, I take the subways with you. I'm registered a conservative. I'm flip-flopping like he is, but he's a professional politician. I want to say thank you so much. My stepmom, Maricela Falgoso Del Valle, is one of the first SWAT team members of Schenectady. We cleaned Schenectady up. And let me tell you, with Health Hub USA, I spoke to some big people today. I know, but again, my name is Vaughn Stephen Del Valle, and I'm running for mayor of this great city. Vaughn NYC for innovating our city. Thank you.
Very powerful, man. Not too long.
Are you running as a Democrat or Republican?
Independent.
Okay. Next we have Treasurer Actil.
Yes, Treasurer Actil.
Okay.
Yes, so passionate. I appreciate your modesty. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Compliments of the season. I realize for far too long in New York City, we have seen politicians give a repetitive manuscript talking about affordable housing, talking about the economy, talking about childcare, education, environmental care, but it's the same redundant policies. It's not what you are seeking from taxpayers, aka voters, but it's what me, a youth advocate, somebody who is innovative in thinking, somebody who's compassionate, somebody who is industrious to lead this city into a first-class residence. We need to reposition New York in a tourism dynasty that it truly deserves because the world is laughing. Garbage on the streets, people rampantly murdering, violently attacking people in this city, and the NYPD is just coming, incarcerate and drop, and then 4 days after, the repeated offenders come back to do the same stupid thing. Not on my watch. It's time we have young people like myself and senior citizens collaborate with their experience and my, hopefully, AI resolve and other facets of life to help comprehensively create a more affordable city for us New Yorkers first, and in the world after, if they come here legally to pay the dues. Our economy is in shambles. Trust me, I have a policy to strengthen our economy. The crime is rampant. It's not only the NYPD that can do its job, it's us citizens. We need to support NGOs, CBOs, and safety public organizations also, give them the resources, the financial capital so they could do what they have to do when they need to do it. I am tired. I don't know for my comrades on the stage, but my comprehensive plan will be delivered in January. It will be fresh because it's a new year. I want to be revitalized and I want to show, thank you. I want to show not only the youth, but New Yorkers that they too can be the voice that they're destined to be. I thank you.
Thank you.
Are you running as an independent, Republican, or Democrat?
I'm running as a Democrat.
All right. I guess since this question keeps coming up, I'd say introduce yourself by the name and what party you're running for, so we don't have to keep asking this. All right. Next is Darren Aquino, represented by Elijah Diaz.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Elijah Diaz. I'm the campaign manager for the Committee to Make New York Safe Again, headed by Darren Aquino. He is the Republican candidate for mayor. He was the first one to come into this race for 2025, 2026. And we don't have very much to say about policy tonight. He wanted to share, that we're gonna take this time to really honor our president, Donald J. Trump. We're going to hold back on campaign activities until he is inaugurated, and we are going to go full steam ahead on that end after that day. But the one word that I really see tonight and that I wanted to share on behalf of our committee is opportunity. Now, Darren Aquino is a man of opportunity. He's created an opportunity for myself. I'm actually, I think I might be one of the youngest campaign managers ever. I'm 22 years old, just beating out Isaiah Vega, actually, for youngest in the room here tonight. But, you know, this is going to be an administration that we really believe in, and we're fighting for the little guy. And when Darren Aquino reached out to me and we spoke about running this campaign, I really resonated with him because I'm a New Yorker and I've been underserved. I've been underprivileged as a Latino coming from Brooklyn, from Flatbush. And I resonate with everyday New Yorkers, everyone here in this room. And so does Darren Aquino. And I'm going to wrap it up very, very shortly, but we are going to be transparent in this administration. And we're reaching out to young Democrats, young Republicans, young independents, and giving them a voice. Just as Darren Aquino has given me a voice at 22 years old to take on the city of New York at my young age with my intellect and my unique skill set and the administration that he is putting together of older, younger folks, middle-aged, it doesn't matter, Democrat, Republican, we are conservative, patriot Americans. And if anybody here decides to challenge the people who we are fighting for, the voters who are here in this room, who want to see a safer New York, who want to see a better New York, who want to see New York safe again. If anyone wants to challenge those values, on behalf of myself, on behalf of Darren Aquino, on behalf of the city of New York, and on behalf of everyone who is supporting our administration, we have two words for you. Bring it. God bless you all.
All right, our next speaker is Tabitha Ward. Beautiful hair, by the way.
Good evening, my name is Tabitha Ward and I'm running for mayor of New York City. I'm running as an independent because I've always voted either, I've voted as much times I voted Republican as I have voted Democrat. So I've never leaned one side or the other. I'm not always on the left and I'm neither always on the right. My policies will include immigration, budget, taxes and revenue, jobs and education, infrastructure, law enforcement, and crime prevention, and additional policies. I will work with the Trump administration on his policies as far as the United States, and I am for making New York City the city of Americans instead of the city of immigrants. And you can follow me. You can follow me on change.org. Tabitha Ward for New York City Mayor 2025, LinkedIn.com at Tabitha Ward, Facebook.com Tabitha Ward, Instagram.com Tabitha Ward for New York City Mayor 25, X.com at Tabitha CL Ward, and I'm registered with the NYC Campaign Finance Board. You will be surprised about my policies. My policies will solve the problems for New York City in areas of immigration, budget, taxes and revenue, jobs and education, infrastructure, law enforcement and crime prevention, and additional policies. And my policies are different from the other policies that you will hear with other candidates. And my results will be long-lasting results. So those results will last through future mayor candidates and future mayor candidates and future city council. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mr. David Ram.
All right, David Ram, you're next.
All right, sorry I had to step out. If you could just hold my time a second. I just got off the phone with Phil Grillo. And Phil Grillo says he is in hell. And that if anybody could spare a few dollars so he can have some commissary, so he can reach out to family and friends and make phone calls. Because in jail, you have to pay for those phone calls. So I just said I would relay the message. He said, don't give up. Keep the MAGA movement alive, and I will be back. And I just wanted to share that message from Philip Sean Grillo with everybody in this room. Thank you. My name is David Ram, and I'm running for mayor of New York City. I was the featured speaker at Madison Square Garden for Donald Trump, where I called out Eric Adams as the worst mayor, worse than Bill de Blasio and David Dinkins put together. There's nobody in this room, nobody in New York City. I've rallied for 8 years, countless protests, every single issue under the sun. Transsexuals reading to our kids. Keep the specialized high school. The first speaker spoke about education. I was at an education meeting last night for a vote, PEP Council in Brooklyn, where we got the vote to keep the specialized high school test to be given. I've been at hundreds, if not thousands, of rallies in the last 8 years. Nobody else in this room or anywhere else except Curtis Lewa can say that. I will bring back sanity to New York. I will be a staunch supporter of our border and Tom Homan. Eric Adams doesn't want to assist with the mass deportation that's coming. Well, David Ram will step up to the plate. I will keep merit-based education. I will get crime under control in New York City. Crime is worse than in the 80s in the crack epidemics. This is insane. Illegals are getting money that should be for our veterans, our homeless, our senior citizens, our minorities. I'm the father of a minority daughter from Medellin, Colombia. I married a first-generation immigrant woman. I have family values, conservative values. I'm in contact with the Trump administration about getting the Republican endorsement, and I cannot be bought. I will not be in bed with land developers as Eric Adams is. Eric Adams is in a whirlwind of problems. Next 3 months, he's going to be indicted and thrown in jail. And he's kissing Donald Trump's ass for a pardon. He's smart enough to understand. Ladies and gentlemen, go to David Rem, DAVIDREM, NewYorkCityNYC.com for the rest of information about my campaign. And thank you very much, and I look forward to receiving your support. Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, next we have George Stein.
God forbid it's George Stein. My family moved to America in the 1840s. My parents were raised in the projects. I'm not only a Republican, I will probably be a conservative also. But my family comes from the projects in the Bronx. They moved over to Queens in 1937, a building my grandfather happened to be the inspector of. I have a family history of being active in the community. I don't know, do any of you run a parade that gets 10,000 people to show up? Other than a Met game, I run an event that nobody can compete with. How many of you are good at making peace? I'm exceptional at making peace and showing love. Black Lives Matter came to the bridge in Whitestone, Clinton's Bridge. You look on the internet, it's out there, folks. They spoke to me, I gave them media access to the internet. They loved me. You know what they said, George, thanks? And they went away. They tried building one of the biggest criminal operations in the city of New York is the Board of Education. The Board of Education has a school construction authority that is destroying neighborhoods in left and right. They need to be building buildings in the neighborhoods where the students live. District 26, where I live, 3/4 of the kids that graduate the high school live south of Hillside Avenue. Queens County is my home. I was deeply insulted when I had somebody saying that this new building that they're putting next to Citi Field is going to make Queens a landmark. Queens has been a landmark before everybody in this room was born. I was deeply insulted. I don't know if does anybody go to civic meetings? Does anybody go to the Republican meetings? Does anybody have $5,000 they could write a check tonight to support their own campaign? Folks, I'm for real. I am not a fantasy saying I'm going to do things. I do things. I've worked 2-3 jobs most of my life. I've spent as much time sleeping on the 7 train as I do in my own bed. And I'm tired of people coming up and exposing rhetoric and embarrassing the city and the county that I love. I hope there another candidate emerges that's more financed and whatever to do this job. But what I am competing against, can you imagine Donovan Richards and I hang out and talk about this stuff? And I talk with other Democrats. You have to know what's going on out there. And the majority of these people don't talk to Democrats. You gotta talk to everybody. It's called inclusion, and that's what it's about. If you don't have these other political organizations working for you in the different neighborhoods, what the hell are you running for? I ran into the guy who's also allegedly running for borough president, and he's never gone to anything. I'm a committee member of the town, and I'm leaving. I love you.
Love you too. Yvonne, would you like to speak? No? Okay, Joe Almy.
For mayor?
Say the line you're seeking. Republican, Conservative, Democrat, please.
Hi everyone, my name is Joe Almy. And we're happy to talk here about the politics, about New York City, about our topics concern about the New York City. You know, that's the problem is the Republican and Democratic, they have contradiction, fighting each other. And I don't understand, you know, if we focus on something, we focus on the difference, we are enemies, right? Republican and Democratic are enemies. But if I focus on something we share in common, try to unite it together, we are all New Yorkers. We are all human beings. We share the same or similar biological feeling, right? So in this way, we need to focus on something in common. So I have a solution for New York City that we need to change the fundamental regulations like political system, legal system, and government system. How to change it? It's very simple. Like municipal government, New York City municipal government is too big, demanding too much. We let this power go down to the council district, like the rent, education, even tax or some other issues. Let the council district solve by themselves. This will be this situation will be happen. Republican, if you agree to Republican policy, you move to a Republican district. If you agree with the Democratic policy, you move to Democratic district.
30 seconds left.
Oh, sorry. So in this way, you know, we'll be not disturb each other. You have your own leaders, management about your own policies. So this is kind of a possible solution to New York City solve the problems. Thank you.
Johnson, say the last speaker. Would you like to talk?
Grab some water real quick.
Good evening, and thank you for having me. My name is Javon Terrell Ross. I am an independent, and I'm running for mayor. I just want to take a quick moment to have you think about something, and that is, what is it that you need to make it better for yourself and everyone else in New York? Think about that. What do you need? While you're thinking about it, I'm going to tell you what I believe everyone needs. There's 3 R's. Respect in love, so that we can reform in love, and then we can restore in love, right? So if we respect ourselves first, we learn how to respect ourselves in love. We have to understand what that looks like first, because a lot of us, most of us in here, don't love ourselves. And so when we learn to do that, we'll automatically transition into reforming our own personal ways and say, hey, look, what am I doing that can change, that'll make things better? What is this other person doing? Now we're going to start working together. We're going to say, hey, look, I'm going to respect myself, and then I'm going to respect you, and then we're going to work on whatever these issues are that we have that's keeping us from coming together and working together. And we're going to say, hey, this has changed. I've reformed, you've reformed, the system has reformed, because we're respecting each other. We're respecting the system. And now we're restoring our relationships. We're restoring our communities. We are restoring whatever needs to be restored. So everything that we've all talked about here, every issue that anyone has brought up, it starts with respect. If we learn, and when we learn to respect ourselves and each other in love, we'll realize that we're in love with each other. And when we realize we're in love with each other, we won't have issues with each other. So I'm going to end it there. I don't want your dollars. I'm not here for your votes. I'm here because I want to support you. Not everybody's going to support me. Not everybody's going to vote for me. You might not be old enough, young enough. 30 seconds? All right. My time's up. It's not about the dollars. It's about the change. Remember that.
We have no more candidates, right, Danny? Okay, so I guess we're gonna do a little Q&A now. So do we have questions from the audience? Any questions at all? Okay, Brandon, I saw your hand up first. Short answers, candidates, short answer.
It's very fast. First of all, thank you to everybody who is going to run. It's not an easy thing. I was like a candidate prior, so it takes a lot of guts. But one problem that I've seen our previous candidates have had is that they don't really know who their Democrat elected is, but they especially don't know who we are. So what exactly are you going to do to like stand out, solve the problem where they don't want to report on us? We don't really have like the funding for it. They don't have like the manpower. What are you going to do to address those very same three things, I guess, to everyone here?
All right, we'll start down here. Make it short.
I think to win the election is very important, is essential for Republicans. We lost for many times. We can't afford for loss anymore. So to win the election, we are Republicans. But in Republicans in New York City, just about one third about all voters. A lot of it is Democratic. So at the same time, we need a united or lead the Democratic. How? Like I said, we need to focus on something we share in common. Put aside about something different. Different things like district construct. Like a council district itself by themselves. Something we share in common, like safety.
Thank you for your time.
Oh, sorry. Safety and
I want to hear from everybody, so if you can
okay,
get
sure.
some mic on, please.
I have been in every retail operation in Queens County for the last, 30, 40 years. I'm just looking to reignite relationships. I'm looking to energize the Republicans that attend each and every club meeting, and the conservatives as well. I have a tradition and an honor that will move forward. I really don't care if I lose. The most important thing is we all need to fight for our city. And just adding rhetoric to the story is a disgrace. Get off your ass and do something.
Amen.
Brandon, could you just repeat? I'm not clear what your question was.
Yeah, I guess is how are you going to stand out from some of the other candidates who have previously ran, and what are you going to do to solve the problems like trying to access funds, media, a lot of
Stand up for the other candidates, how? If they've run in the past and have either won or lost. I don't understand.
Yeah, so like what are you going to do to solve a lot of those problems that our previous candidates weren't able to beat, such as access to funding, trying to build up some type of brand?
You mean like Curtis Lewa ran against Eric Adams and lost, and how am I going to do better than that?
Sure.
Okay. Well, I think that I was given national exposure being on Madison Square Garden. Eric Adams knows who I am. I had a visit at my job. So he knows I'm coming for him. He knows I called him out. And Curtis picked up a majority of the Asian Republican voters, and I think I can carry the Asians. I have rallied with Asian people in education in Albany, Washington, D.C., Bronx, Queens, Staten Island, Brooklyn, and Manhattan for 8 years. They know me very well. They know I'm real. All those rallies, I never wanted to run for office. So they know I'm the real deal. So I think I have a lot of confidence in that, and as I repeated, I'm going to try my very best to get the endorsement from the Trump administration. And also after Madison Square Garden, I was approached by an oil tycoon from Texas who said he loves New York City and that he himself will fund my entire campaign. So you need money in New York, because if you're a Republican, especially with no money, you're going nowhere.
As mayor, I will ensure that there are equal number of Republicans and Democrats that are sitting at the table. This will allow both parties to have a voice in the laws and going forward in this city. Also, I'm going to ask that the New York City is allowed to participate on the single market with the European Union. This is a union that is located in Europe that allows countries to bid on billions of dollars in contracts, as far as, contracts with work around the world, and also with contracts that Americans can do. This will bring in an influx of revenue for New Yorkers, and because of the amount of money that is available on the amount of contracts and money that is available on the European Union, this will also push out contracts for the rest of the country. And I will ensure that New York City will have an influx of revenue. And with that, I will ensure, to answer his question, that Republicans and Democrats both have a place at the table, and that they're both playing a role in the policies going forward.
Simply put, the Committee to Make New York Safe Again is going to promote representation, specifically among disabled voters, people who were underrepresented in previous elections, or people who were not, spoken to during these past elections. And we're going to be able to bring together different groups of people, young, old, and have that representation among New Yorkers, not just from people who have the money, just the regular, hardworking New Yorkers who make this city great and who are able to contribute any number of dollars to our campaign.
Yes, so I vehemently believe you just have to listen to the cry of the people. Everyone is suffering from some complexity. And what happens in Queens may differ from the other boroughs. And for me personally, I would just lead my campaign with distinction. I have a strategy, and I know that the media, once they see people rally behind me without the funds, because sometimes it's not all about the money, it's about the mission and the completion of it. I thank you.
Everybody, I think it's very simple. I studied science for years. I observed this city, took notes on this city and everything and how it works. I've actually worked in the European Union in Finland with a lot of great people, with the Finnish Chambers of Commerce. And let me tell you, it's quite simple. It is all about science. And when I say that, it's mental health. Let's use innovative tools to really grasp New York City education. Let's start with education first, and then maybe we won't see such an influx in crime. It's very simple, and let's really invest in education, health, these kind of things, because when New Yorkers are healthy, hey. And let me tell you, New York, I got a lot of great initiatives that is gonna help everyone, especially during emergency management situation, our most vulnerable, our deaf, our people who can't walk. I see a red moon arising, we see the floods, we see everything that's happening. I've moved to Far Rockaway just to monitor the situation. I'm also a minor in ATC weather, and it's looking very scary and dangerous. I know, time's over.
Thank you. Good. To answer your question, I'm a former Marine, I'm a former federal law enforcement officer, and former government contractor. So I've been around in that environment for a while. and being able to address issues and concerns that you brought up. It's not always about the money. It's actually about each other. When we figure out how to help each other and we get out here and we say, hey, we're gonna get on the ground and say, hey, what do you need? I'm gonna get out here and ask you the questions that you have and say, hey, how can we address it, right? When we understand that through just networking with each other and establishing these bonds with each other, we don't need the money, we just need the effort. We need someone to say, hey, look, I'll make you a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. It doesn't cost you anything. I'm not gonna put money into your campaign. Instead, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna meet you outside and we're gonna walk the block and get these people off the streets, buy them tennis shoes, whatever it needs. Like, meeting the needs of the people is really what we need to understand what we're doing here, right? You ask how are we gonna beat this situation? It's not about that. When we compare ourselves to others, we limit ourselves to their achievements. So we need to come out here with original thought. And I'm using Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior to get us to that finish line. That's the answer.
Thank you so much for that question. And first, I want to address like how difficult it is, like budget-wise. So especially if you're a new candidate. So what I would really recommend is to see things not just in a monetary equivalent. Like the assets, you should look at people as an asset. Like one person may be one person, but that person might actually know 500 people, or is a leader of this, is a leader of that, and you reach out to those person and you hear them out and you feel their pulse and you get there. That one person may have contributed $100, but the value and the asset of that person could have just made you $100,000. So you just have to be like really look outside the box, show up in every single event that you have out there similar as this, and then network and then talk. Like in Instagram, feel free to reach out to them. Social media is very making people reach each other easily. And contact them and talk to them and let them know who you are. Don't be shy. Show up in shows and stuff like that. And then for me and Jomani, I think the authenticity of what makes a true advocate is what's going to make me stand out. The authenticity of the hardship that I went through, and that's what's going to be the difference between me and Jomani.
I won't. A lot of people have the tendency to waste time on things that's not important instead of wasting time in things that's important. And a lot of people have the tendency to say things instead of doing things. I will put my energy in actually doing instead of putting my energy in actually saying. All these policies is old and is boring. A fifth grader could lead better. I own businesses. I'm a CEO. I'm licensed by the DMV. I own an auto tax agency. You can tell I have integrity. And this is a business. We all a business. You guys are the stakeholders. You guys are the employers to make the city better. And I will be your leader to help you guys make the city better. I'll make sure the small businesses get funding so to create jobs for everybody else, social economy, and I make sure social inequality to make sure everybody's treated fairly. And make sure that education, the teachers get better contracts, minimum wages get raised, no more corruption in the police department, no more overtime scheme everywhere in the hospitals. People want to work for 4 hours and have the tendency to get paid for 8 hours, not on my watch. Under my administration, all that will change, and I will provide transparency. New Yorkers, think about it. Make the best decision, like I said, when it's time for election. Emotional intelligence is when you're aware of your emotions, self-awareness, control your emotion, self-management, aware of other people's emotions, social awareness, and can control that too. Relationship management.
Wrap it up, please.
A leader have to have those skills, and I have those skills. So when it's time to vote, Anglais for Mayor of New York, 25, the number 4.
Wrap it up.
And I'm on LinkedIn, Gene H. Anglais. Thank you. Have a nice day. May God bless. I'm all right. I don't like the energy being brought out today. I'm all right. Have a nice day. You guys, when it's time for election. Don't give up. Don't give up.
Don't give up. Don't give up. Well,
I'm not giving up.
Talk to me. So I'll answer your question very quickly. Listen, we're all here together. and we have to divide the time equally among ourselves. So let me talk. I just wanted to answer your question very quickly. Young candidate running for the first time.
I'm voicing, defend you guys behind closed doors. Have a nice day, God bless.
So just to say that.
Playing my time.
Well, I'll answer very quickly to answer. The problem candidates have in New York is that if they don't have the money, the people don't pay attention. The press doesn't pay attention, nobody pays attention, because the only metric they use is the number that comes out of the finance board. So a while ago, thanks to Daniel, and over there I see DJ Elf, my Rep My Block ambassador, which is a tool that we have worked with the press now to find another metric. And another metric that doesn't cost any money is how many volunteers carrying your petition block by block running for county committee. So if you're a candidate and you have a petition and you're using Rep My Block, we're telling the press, ED number X, AD number X, this candidate has 300 volunteers running across 300 ED. Pay attention. Each one pay 20 bucks, each of the volunteers pay 20 bucks to print the petition, but the press is saying, shit, he has 300 volunteers. That worth all the money in the world. But anyway, we'll continue later.
Amen, brother.
Thank you.
If I understood the question very well, it takes three things for a nation to be corrupt. Corrupt the court, corrupt the police, and leave people uneducated. I'm going to focus on education, law enforcement, make sure the police are well paid and teachers are well paid. After we clean the city and we make sure every New Yorker sleeps at home. No housing issues. And also, reform of justice system. Make sure every court, civil, housing, federal, supreme in New York City has half, 50% Republican judges, 50% Democrat judges. Right now, if you are a Republican having an issue, you are gone. All judges are Democrats. So we are all Americans. There are lots of decisions taken are unconstitutional. So we can't just go, we have to be Republicans to go there, we have to be Democrats to go there. Everything has to be constitutional. And it's about honor, it's not about a dollar. I'm not running for fame, I'm not running for fortune. I've traveled the world, I lived in 5 continents. I'm running for faith, family, and freedom. And my name is Fatima Zoranwino.
There's one more.
The gentleman that asked the question, your name is Brandon, is that correct?
Yes.
I want to answer your question directly, because I think your question's about the strategy to separate ourselves from other candidates and how we actually are planning to engage voters to win this election.
Answer it.
Our team is going to engage people who are really apathetic. If you look at the data from the last election cycle, 75% of registered New York voters in New York did not even vote. Right? In my introduction earlier, I said that democracy is the best form of government, and it requires active participation. Right? Low voter turnout ultimately benefits the establishment, people in power, and that's why the Democratic establishment in New York City has remained in power for the last 10 years. So we are actively engaging voters who are registered, who have, for whatever reason, being apathetic for the last 10 years, have not participated in the system. And I think with the 75% of people who are registered, who aren't currently voting, engaging, can make some real change. We're all here tonight, we all care about New York, we all have similar interests in the things we want to fix, but we have to encourage people to engage in the system to actually make the changes any of us have been talking about here tonight.
Danny, where are you? How many more questions should we take?
I have one, a simple one. I have a simple question. JDR for NYC Media, yes or no question. Do you support the city of yes, and do you support congestion pricing? Yes or no?
Yes or no question?
How about our president?
Do you support the city of yes and do you support congestion pricing? Let's do a yes or no question.
No and no.
Let him raise his hand. Right.
Can you please elaborate on city of yes?
You have to know what it is.
I know, but then I have heard different aspects of it. We just need a clean, safe, and modern city.
Steve doesn't know. Why don't you have him raise his
As a
hand?
socialist, my answer is no to the first and to be worked on more for the second one.
My answer is a big no and a big no.
My answer is yes and no. That's exactly what you asked for. a yes or no answer. So yes or no.
No, and he made the city of yes so he could approve some sketchy contracts, to be honest.
It's a yes and a no.
It's a no and a no.
No and no, and under my policies, I will make sure that public transportation is free.
It's a big no and a big no and a big yes for Donald John Trump.
No.
It's an issue of partnership. I like the council district.
Yes
all
or
the
no?
My opinion.
no?
My opinion is not affected by the council
Take the
district.
microphone.
My opinion is no.
All right, before we continue with the questions, I just want to address something, it's just left, I try to respect the candidate's time, and I try to respect your time. The fact that he wouldn't go by the 1 minute timer, and he just, walked out like that, I don't think that's very qualifying to be mayor. So, I have you all on 1 minute timers. I ask that you respect the time limit, and I'm thankful that, that you're all respecting the time limit. But, it's not just for you guys, it's for the audience as well. So I'm gonna pass the mic to Kathy, and I will let her choose the next question.
As a Pisces, I reserve the right to be emotional. Okay, so any other questions?
Yes. Yeah, I have a question. I'd like to know what are your positions on.
Oh, no, do one question, not for everybody. I'm
Well, I
sorry.
don't care.
One at a time.
My question is, whatever you say, doesn't matter. What are your positions on DEI?
Your position on DEI.
I think you got it. Can you repeat the question? What's the question? DEI.
What is DEI? What is DEI? What is DEI?
I have been a victim of DEI. I am totally against it. It is racist, misogynist. It is a disgrace that we even have to go this far. Thank you.
I am totally against DEI.
DEI means diversity, equity, and inclusion, and no, I am not for DEI.
On behalf of the committee, we're against DEI.
No comments. I'm for education, no DEI.
DEI, double-edged sword, so in the hands of the wrong person, it's an absolute no.
Unfortunately, I'm a socialist, so yes.
I didn't get the question very well, but I'm against racism, against nepotism. And every office should have persons, if we have 10 employees, each employee should be from a different racial background. This is why we have inclusion. We have lots of offices where we have people bringing their own families and then other workers from their own country. So we are all Americans. We have to be included everywhere, in every facet of life. Whoever we are one nation under God. We have one flag and one citizenship. So each office has to have lots of racial backgrounds, not only this specific race, not the other. So we do have racism in America, it has to stop. We have nepotism, it has to stop.
Pass the mic.
I find it very interesting that everyone in this room who are participating in this event tonight on this stage are giving a resounding no to DEI.
Closer to the mic.
What's your opinion? Yes or no? Yes or no?
Everyone who on this stage said no.
Time.
I know, right? I'll take the.
Not your moment,
Thank you. Everyone who on this stage tonight said a resounding no, I find only a little hypocritical because we are a panel of diverse people and perspectives and opinions. Now, to your question about how I feel about it, I believe that it's been used as a corporate tactic to divide and to sell. But in practice, we are a room full of diverse people. I see black people in this room tonight. I see brown people in this room tonight. I see Hispanic people in this room tonight. So it is.
George, be nice.
I have to listen to all this rhetoric that's useless. You're asked the question and answer it. Respect the rest of the people in the room.
I guess we're moving on now. Next question. Okay, over here.
Very quickly, the MTA is pretty much a state-run organization, but I think they have 14 members on the board. I forget the exact amount, but I do know that the mayor has, to use 14 as an example, 6 appointments. Governor has 8 appointments. I think the problem with the MTA is too many of these guys on the board don't use the system. So my question is, when you do have the opportunity to make an appointment to the MTA board, I guess yes or no, will you appoint people who actually use the system as opposed to limousine liberals?
Sounds like a yes or no question. So, Colin, will you take it away?
A simple yes.
Fatima?
Yes. I will use people who have a background of the field they work in. So people who are specialists in transportation and people who have used the subway, the train, the bus, and people who have studied transportation, not just because they are friends of the mayor.
All right, thank you.
Public advocate doesn't appoint.
Yeah, well, yes, of course.
100% yes.
I think so, yes, we need people who take the subway. However, we need people who study transportation. We had one president from Uppsala University, and he was absolutely amazing. Education.
Yes or no?
Sure, yeah, I take the subway all the time. Pass the microphone.
Most definitely, yes. We must practice what we preach.
Well, this is a question for the candidate, so I'll skip on this question.
Yes, and free transportation.
Absolutely yes.
Borough President does not vote on the issue.
Yes, traffic is very important issues for me, if I think.
All right, next question is over here.
Do you want more cops on the street? And if so, how would you fund it?
All right, long reform.
Unless there's more cops on the street and the cops who are currently employed by NYPD doing their job. I believe that there has been everything from a cultural hindrance to people not respecting the police department, what they bring to the table. Also an issue with how we have restricted the police's participation in the community to how the morale of the department is hindered due to officer pay, right? Where officers are, essentially coming out of the academy and starting at a poverty wage for a job that is really important to the safety of our city. And to your question about how we pay for it, I believe that it's often a question of where does the money come from, but I feel like rarely is the question asked, where are we spending our money? How are we prioritizing the money we already have? Our city has a $100 billion budget, right? And so it's a reprioritization of how those funds are used to ensure that we are putting money in places where it's most impactful.
Yes, not only putting more police in the streets, more trained police in the streets. Many police take on tasks they have no idea what they're about. They have to be trained on domestic violence, they have to be trained on crimes, they have to be trained on racial issues. So, and about the fund, we do have a fund. New York budget is bigger than the budget of the entire Australia. So the money is stolen by someone. There is a budget there, it has to be allocated to where it should be. We should focus on law enforcement, education, housing. Those are the basic issues to live a decent, humanized life. We are human beings. And when it comes, as I said, the budget is there. We just have to clean the house that runs the budget. And I'm gonna open an oversight committee or an agency because by background, I am a quality assurance specialist and human factors expert and risk manager. So we have to be monitoring every single budget that is allocated to each institution in the city. Thank you.
Well, as a socialist, the first right of a human being is security. And we need to have that security. And we need to figure out how it happened. So if we need more cops in certain area to have that security, then more cops. If there are too many cops doing too many bad things in another area, we need to remove them because they scare the population into scaredness. So we need to better manage our police department, and as public advocate, I will make sure the mayor of New York does a good job managing the NYPD and stop using policy to go after our privacy, like using drones, using everything to spy on us. So we need to figure out how to better police the police.
So on the first, my name is Angela Aquino, public advocate. So on the first question, will there be more cops on the streets? So it depends where. So on areas that there's going to be more crimes and depending on the time. So if there's more cops is required in a certain time, maybe going home, like 5 to 7, then we will put more cops there. So where will the money come from? I believe this will cause some kind of like a cause and effect. If you put more cops there, the criminals will probably do less crimes. So we will be putting less criminals at Rikers, which is about $5,000 a month. So it will probably hoping to tip the balance. But yeah, so yes to more cops on certain places, certain time, and the budget, hopefully this will cause some more discipline and more thinking twice of whether they're gonna do crime, because then they'll get caught and just save money by not putting criminals in Rikers.
How much time do we have? 60 seconds?
Please.
All right. Real quick, to answer your question. I'm not going to necessarily say that I would put more money into anything right now without reassessing and getting in and figuring things out. So we need to repurpose. If we're gonna first figure out, hey, putting more cops on the street doesn't require more money. It requires reassessing what we're doing and saying, hey, can we repurpose this, reassign cops to these particular areas without necessarily digging into the pockets and saying we require more money. So it doesn't necessarily require more money to put more cops on the streets. We need to take them out of the offices and not doing things that they shouldn't be doing. Let me just put it like that. Short and sweet.
I come from a family of law enforcement. But let me tell you, I think we need to really look at the procedures, and if they need to be changed, then we must change them. But we need to educate people to be heroes again, because they took the teeth right out of NYPD's mouth. And let me just tell you this happened to me. When I was young, I hopped a turn shot. They took me down to the precinct. If we start taking people down to the precinct, they're gonna be like, I'm not gonna get involved in much harsher crimes. That scared the mess out of me, and we really need to put the teeth back on NYPD. There are heinous, nasty crimes. My stepmom's told me about nasty, heinous crimes. And it also has something to do with drug use and mental stuff. But let me tell you, we need to nip it in the bud at the door.
No, I won't be increasing the police force on our streets. We need to invest more in organizations, create a safe haven for people. We need to cater to the problem and not cover the symptoms. That's all.
Well, as an administration, we definitely back the blue. We are family to the blue, and we will be increasing the amount of cops on the street. We will be increasing their pay. That's something that I speak to Darren consistently about. As far as policy, I'll wait for him to answer that. I think it would be more respectful to have him speak on that matter.
Yes, I will increase police presence on the streets, and I will increase the budget. However, I will ensure that each police officer can undergo and pass a federal background check, and I will ensure that every police officer will require personal liability insurance, and I support the Second Amendment, permitless carry. I have a case that is on the Supreme Court docket, Tabitha Ward versus the NYPD Firearm License Division. And if this case goes forward and if it is passed, we will have permitless carry in all 50 states, including the cities and towns.
First of all, the NYPD is the finest police department in the world. So they don't need any more training like the down there said. Yes, I would increase police presence and police numbers, and I will pay for that by getting rid of all the migrants. Not only will the money be there for the NYPD, who I back the blue very strongly, but extra money will be there for our veterans. I was the only one that rallied against the Q Motor Inn, and we stopped that facility to stop being a migrant facility. They threw veterans out of the Paw Central. So there will be plenty of money once the mass deportation plan goes into effect on January 20th. Thank you very much.
I agree with my distinguished friend. It is proven that the New York City Police Department is the greatest police department in the entire world. All of these other organizations worldwide send people over to College Point to our new facility. They even have a hotel over there for these people to come to say that. The problem the police department has right now is more people are leaving than they can get through the training classes. And they go through every possible investigation. I don't know if you had your fingerprints taken lately, but the concept of having permitless carry, are you out of your mind? We need less guns on the street, but we need legal guns. I have a carry permit. I served as a corrections officer. I know how to have fun. I was with ICE inmates. You know what? They liked me because I showed them respect. And all of these people here, when you come to another meeting like this, get off the camera and the microphone as quickly as possible and show respect to these people who are trying.
I think the most important thing is police do quality job, not more police, not less police, not defund police, not give more fund to police. Police do quality job, very important. How police do quality job? I have a example tell you. For some slight crimes, like police just connected with a judge, use monitor. There are two parties talk with the judge about what happened. The judge make education first. If they compromise each other, let the two party go. They apologize to each other, let them go. If they don't agree to a compromise, need to arrest one party, right? But just giving him record on ID, on driver license ID, 3 times ID warning, then arrest him. In this time, prison is simply enlarged for 3 times bigger. So prison will be empty.
Time.
Thank you.
I have a question. Many of you fought against the lockdowns and the mandates and the illegal injections. Many of us here at the Medical Freedom Party, we fought against the lockdowns. We fought against the mandates. We refused to take the shots. A lot of us got fired. A lot of us, our kids were thrown out of school. We have one guy here, his kid is still not allowed in school. How many of you, by a show of hands, fought against the lockdowns, fought against the mandates? And how many of you, raise your hand, went along with the shots, who believe in the shots? And we'll take the next one. With the next pandemic, that is, you're going to be leading the charge.
No way. I'm the only one here that in 2019 with Robert F. Kennedy was in Albany against the religious exemption for children. 26,000 New York City kids were thrown out of school, many very good friends of mine. Had to go to different states. I will grant the religious exemption as mayor of New York. I will give 5 workers, sanitation, police, fire, teachers, corrections, hospital workers. I will give them back their job with back pay. I don't care how many years.
Next one.
Well, mine is very much connected. This is a yes or no question. Actually, I think I'm going to make it a 2-part, yes or no on both. Speaking of what we've gone through, what we went through in 2020, 2021, 2022, and the fact that Governor Newsom in California has declared a state of emergency over this imaginary bird flu epidemic, which doesn't exist. I want to know, number one, will you support the limiting of emergency power? Because this is just absurd. It's just a way of getting power over people and lining cronies' pockets. And also, will you refuse to go along with any kind of imposition from the WHO?
That's 4 questions.
Two questions, 2 answers, no long sentences. Thank you.
Can you clarify the first part of your question? Limiting the powers of.
The first part of the question is, will you support the reduction in principle and in your own behavior of the limiting of emergency powers? And secondly, will you refuse to comply with any imposition from the WHO, imposition of law that supersedes the U.S. Constitution?
Colin, before you answer that question, every one of you has sort of got a 50-50 ticket, so please announce the name when you answer the question, so they could go to the table to pick anything that's on the table. So, go ahead, continue.
That is for David R.
All right, David.
There's a winner.
What did you win?
Whatever he wants. Yeah.
Not yet, bro. You gotta
Show me the money, says Eric guy.
I'm still not entirely certain whose powers the first question is referring to. The second question is, no, I would not refuse to work with the World Health Organization.
About emergency powers that the mayor took and took liberties on.
Impose things like requiring the shots for.
Right.
Basically, what you're asking is you want to reduce emergency powers, correct?
Yes.
Will you reduce emergency powers as the mayor is kind of the question asking.
Yes. Would you support the reduction and limitation of emergency powers?
May I answer that?
I believe the questions are all interrelated, they're all related. In terms of WHO, I wouldn't accept anything that comes from WHO. I'm a former UN employee, and the head of the WHO is a criminal who killed his own people in Ethiopia. This is one. I haven't been vaccinated, neither myself nor my husband. I'm not gonna support WHO. And about emergency, ma'am, lady, I don't want to restrict anyone's freedom. I am. Just to finish the question, I don't want to deprive anyone from his or her limitation. I will enforce religious exemption for vaccination. I will enforce it. Everyone, it's our body. We have a freedom to decide what to put in our body. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Government is complicated, so it is not a simple yes or no, so I'll keep it empty. Empty and empty. No answer, no answer.
For the first question, status quo. So I think that's will I
reduce emergency powers?
No. And second question, will I work with WHO? No.
My position is that we need to empower the people to have as much free choice as possible. So whatever that takes, I will do.
This is America. Nobody should be required to take anything in the WHO and NYC. Everywhere is different.
Depends on the severity of the situation.
I won't answer the first question on behalf of the candidate, but as for the second question, we are against Dr. Fauci. We're against the whole vaccine mandate. So on that answer, no, we will not.
I've never been vaccinated, but I will to say that I do support emergency powers for the mayor, but I don't think it should have been used for vaccination, requiring vaccination, and I do not support the WHO. We have a constitution in this country and we go by ours.
I just want to say that my daughter is unvaccinated since birth. I am the strongest candidate for no vaccination, no WHO, very, very limited emergency powers, only in a real disaster. They've lied to us, Fauci's lied to us, and the whole world has lied to us. And there will never, ever be a shutdown if I'm mayor. Never again.
Emergency powers that have to be ratified by a legislative body inside of 24 hours. The WHO should be brought up on federal charges of lives they destroyed.
I support medical freedom, but I have another consideration about if the vaccine is forced by like COVID-19. The order is okay, but if people think he don't got a vaccine, just pay $5 to $10. That's he got free.
Who won? Oh, who won? Oh, yeah, the win.
Jonathan.
That's me.
Anything on the table? Anything on the table?
Horowitz.
William Horowitz.
Martha, I think it's Rowan. Martha Rowan.
Eric, A-R-E-K.
William Horowitz. Mr.